It's no secret that on some of today's vehicles, the headlights are downright pathetic, especially if you don't spring for the HID or LED headlights. I'm going to show you how we can address that right now. The best way to address that, in my opinion, is replacing the halogen headlight bulbs with a set of LED headlight bulbs. So let's take a look at what we have in this box and how we switch over our halogen bulbs to LED bulbs. And what we have here is a set of LED headlight bulbs from Mars Auto via Amazon. And the first thing you want to do when you're looking at replacing your halogen headlight bulbs with LED bulbs is to determine which model bulbs you have. And so here's a list of the common sizes. This set is for my 2017 Chrysler Pacifica that calls for a 9005 bulb, so you see that's listed on there. One of the best ways to do that is go to an auto parts store website, look up your vehicle, and see what designation your headlight bulb has. This has separate bulbs for high low beam. There are some that are combined, so you really need to know what this number is. The 9005 or HP3 is identical. So find either that H number or the numerical designation for your bulb. Do a search on Amazon is the best place I found, and take a look at what the selection is there. So this was purchased on Amazon for about $30 basically, and comes in this nice box. You can see there is our set of two bulbs packaged in some foam with pigtails there. We'll see what else is in here. Couple gloves there to put on while you're handling the bulbs, and some instructions. So let's put on these fancy gloves and take a look at our LED headlight bulbs. So you may be asking yourself, LEDs have been around forever. What took so long? And why are automakers charging me $2,000 to upgrade to LEDs? Well, the first one is regulation. In the United States, we have government bodies that highly regulate the safety of our vehicles. On one hand, that's good. On the other hand, they get in the way of technological advancement, especially around headlights. I know that they just recently approved some laser type headlights that seem to really up the game in this area. But LEDs, I think a lot of money had to go in with auto manufacturers to prove to this government organization that these would not blind other drivers and create a safety hazard, things like that. Thankfully, we don't need to pay that $2,000 to $3,000 from the manufacturer. We can upgrade any halogen bulb with what's shown here. And if we take one of these out just to take a look at it, actually kind of a lot of development had to go into these retrofit kits here. So you notice all of these will have some sort of a heat sink by the bulb area, and then some sort of a pack here. And if it does not have either of these, I do not recommend getting it, especially for headlights. Those other designs are low power, more for fog lamps or something like that. Now the heat sink is an interesting piece here. We're going to dive a little bit more into why this is required. Some of these even have fans on the larger bulbs, those dual where they have high and low beam on the one. A lot of those will have a fan for more cooling. That's an interesting reason why that is required. So 12 volts is supplied to the end of the pigtail here. But interesting, LEDs operate at much lower voltage, so they require anywhere from 1.7 to 3 volts. So what that does, baked into here, is a transformer to reduce that voltage from 12 volts down to that 3. And we know our power equation is volts times amperage equals wattage. So if I have a 120 watt bulb here being supplied with 12 volts in this cable, coming through our wiring here is 10 amps. That gets reduced down to, say, 3 volts, and to supply that same 120 watts, we need 4 times the amperage going to the LEDs. And amperage is what causes heat. That's the actual electron flow within those conductors. So on this side of the conversion, we have 3 times more amperage causing heat, and that's what requires the heat sink here to take that heat away. The other thing we need here in the pigtail is a set of resistors. So a lot of modern vehicles monitor the amperage or the amperage used by your headlight bulbs, and if that goes below a certain threshold, it will throw a warning light and say, warning, your headlight has been burnt out. So we know LEDs are more of an efficient lighting source than halogen. They have less power draw overall. So in some vehicles, if you did not include this resistor, it would throw a warning code. So, interesting amount of tech packed in here. LEDs have been around a long time. These are pretty high-powered ones. You can actually see the 3 on the actual bulb here. So there's 6 total, 3 on each side. Pretty cool little tech, and really technological advances in the industry, putting these in televisions. All the other things kind of led up to this to enable this neat little package to be used in place of a halogen bulb in your vehicle. Here is an example of another LED bulb that is okay for a fog lamp, but not going to be bright enough for a headlamp. You can see the heat sink is missing, the resistors are missing. The LEDs look pretty large, and there's a lot of them, but they're much lower brightness and much lower power consumption than what's here for the headlight bulbs. So don't be fooled by these. This is not good enough for a headlight. You need something with a heat sink to be bright enough for a headlight. So I hope you learned a little something about swapping your halogen headlight bulbs to LEDs. I highly recommend it. I will have a separate video of putting these in my Chrysler Pacifica and showing a before and after. Thanks for watching. Adios.